Hello everyone and welcome to Papercrafting Playdate. My name is Robin Armbrecht with Really Robin Stamps. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is October 8th, 2021 and we are going to play with paper. So welcome and thank you so much. Make sure you leave me a comment and tell me who you are and where you're from. And I love getting to know you. So we are going to do something a little different today. We are going to revisit one of my old first three, I guess it was the third Papercrafting Playdate, and we're going to step it up a little bit. So let me show you what I have on my stamping table. Hello, Miss Lisa. All right, so I'm going to flip the camera. All right, let's see. Okay, look at these great colors we're going to use today. So excited. Let me find Robin's Really Super Stampers. There we go. All right, I think we're good. Okay, so it's October. We are well into the fall season. It's lovely. There are just a couple leaves starting to fall here in Illinois. They're brown. They're not pretty, but it's happening. So I'm just thinking about all the fall projects that I want to make. And I'm so thankful I took the time earlier to kind of come up with these little color combinations that would be a bit different to help drive some of my crafting. And so today we're going to focus on this color combination for our first project. And this color combination uses cinnamon cider, which is going to be kind of the signature color for me this fall. Hello, Miss Lynn. Welcome. Bermuda Bay, pumpkin pie, and then early espresso. And one of the things that you can do with a color combination like this is you can also pull in, let's say you want another color, you can pull in a shade of one of these that would be lighter. Okay, so I am going to pull in a lighter version of Bermuda Bay, which would be Pool Party. So I'm actually going to use these colors, and it's really not adding an extra color, it's just kind of adding some depth because you have a different value of a similar color, okay? So let me show you what we're going to be making here. So I'm seeing the leaves, this leaf set, and when I purchased this leaf set, I thought I have to go back to this technique that I did early on, and it was called Stampin Down the Middle 4-in-1. And make sure I can see your comments here. There we go. So if you remember, if you've been watching, you've seen all my videos, this is a technique where you stamp one whole sheet at a time, and then you cut it up and you make 4 cards out of it. So it's kind of a 4-in-1 technique. And it's really fun to do. And when I saw these leaves, I knew I would have to be doing this technique again. But I didn't want to do it exactly the same way. And so I've kind of taken a little mixed media twist on it. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to make 4 cards. And I'm actually going to show you how to make this cute little card holder too. All right, so I'm going to give you a sneak peek at where we're heading here. Here are the cards that we're going to do, and we're going to put them in this cute little holder. All right, okay, and this was my inspiration, so I can put that aside now. Let's see, I really want you to be able to see. Let me move that over just a little bit and see if that helps. Okay, so let's get out our paper. So to do this technique, you need to have a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper in a neutral color. And so I chose white. So the first thing that you're going to do, hi Susan, welcome. The comments are showing up white today instead of black, like the printing is white. And so with this white paper, I can barely read your comments. So give me a hot second if I don't respond to you. So what you're going to do first with this piece is take a 1/2 inch off each side. So I'm just measuring a 1/2 inch over, and I'm going to take a 1/2 inch strip off of the long side. Welcome, Sandy. First time watching. Thank you so much. Thank you for saying hello. Where are you from, Sandy? And then you're going to take a 1/2 inch off this side. So essentially this makes your piece of cardstock 8 inches by 10.5. Okay, and then we always save these strips because you never know when you're going to need a little greeting piece. Then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to just very, very lightly score this piece in half in both directions. And so I'm scoring it at 4 inches, and I'm scoring it at 5 1/4, which is 1/2 of 10 inches. And we'll put our paper cutter aside. Okay, so maybe you can see it's just lightly scored. The score lines are there not to be folded on. We're actually going to cut on them later, but they're there so that I can guide my stamping to make sure I'm getting it exactly where I want it to be. Okay, so with this technique, you need a stamp set or a set of images that have different sizes. And so that's why when I saw this great little gorgeous leaf stamp set, I knew that I wanted to try this technique. So I'm going to pull out the images. And I think I've already got them all mounted on the blocks. So let's check my work here. So I'm going to use these big solid images, and then I'm going to use the little, I'm just basically using every piece in the stamp set, to be honest. Okay, all right. So with this technique, you're going to, that's why it's called Stampin' Down the Middle, is because you're going to stamp down the middle over that score line in both directions, okay? And then when you cut up your cards, you're going to have a little bit of collage on all of the spots. So to do that really easily, you want to start with your image that is the largest. So I'm going to start with this splatter, and I'm going to use Pool Party for that first image. And so I'm going to stamp it right in the middle. Let me move this up because I want to make sure you can see it. And then I'm just going to move it around and make sure that I get a little bit in every section. So you can kind of think of these as like quadrants, right? So you want to make sure when you are checking your work that you've got some in each spot. So I can see that I've got really it stamped in 3 places in just about everywhere except for this one right here. So I'll just add that, okay? So I'm going to put that down. You can always add more, but you can't take away any. So you want to make sure you kind of think about your placement before you get too crazy. All right, now I'm going to bring in Cinnamon Cider, and I'm going to take the next largest image, which is this maple leaf here. And I'm going to ink that and stamp that around. Now again, I'm just going to think about the placement in that I want it to kind of hang over the score line so that it's going to show up and be in every quadrant. Even if it's not fully in every quadrant, we want to see part of it. Okay, so based on what I just did there, I've got kind of a big piece of it and a little bit, half of it, and then just a tiny little bit there. So that's going to space our colors out. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more right in the middle since this is a great little color here. The Cinnamon Cider. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, that looks pretty good. This one, I'm just going to put a tiny little piece over there. All right, so there's our second stamped image. Now I'm going to move on to Pumpkin Pie. And we're going to stamp this long leaf here. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to just pick some spots. I'm going to turn it every time so that I'm always stamping it in a different direction. And that will help it look like a collage. So like this one, for example, this one has the stem going into this quadrant, right? So I want to make sure at least one time I've got the top of the leaf going in there, and I'm going to put it in a different direction than that one. And then we'll do the same thing here. So So we've got 1, 2, let's do one right here. And 1, 2, one more. Right there. And we'll do a little bit over here. All right, so as the images get smaller, you can actually add more. So the pool party image, I stamped like 6 times. And then the larger leaf, I stamped, looks like 7 times and a little bit. And then this one, you know, you're going to increase the number of times you stamp with them, the smaller the image gets. Okay, you with me? All right, so then we're going to take the next smallest leaf and I'm going to stamp that in Bermuda Bay. So remember, we're working off of this color family here, this nice little fall, interesting fall color combination. And this one you can just really fill in. You just want this to be everywhere. This is our fun color. So just turn that stamp every time you ink it, and then you'll get it going in different directions. It will look very pretty. All right, you see how this works? So now I'm just going to check my work. So this one I only have 2 in here, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp another one up here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's very lucky. All right, so we're done with the Bermuda Bay. And then I'm just going to take, these 2 are kind of the same size. This little splatter I'll do last, but these tiny leaves are the smallest, so I'm going to ink those in this dark color, and I'm just going to stamp them in and around these leaves. Thank you for joining me today. I'm back on schedule on Fridays. I appreciate your patience as I was traveling around recently, and I had to just adjust, had to be flexible, had to use that flexible word that nobody likes, but I had to do it. So we're back. All right, so now I just stamp those kind of amongst the leaves, and then the last thing I'm going to do is add this little splatter, and I really just want to fill in a little bit around just kind of those little white areas. It's going to just group everything together, and you can actually stamp this more than one time without re-inking it, and you're just going to get some little splatters. Cute. Okay, let's put that aside. So now we've got all our images stamped, and really the next thing that you do with this technique is you cut your pieces in on the score line so that you cut it into 4ths. And then you can use an embossing folder to kind of create a great little surface, embossed surface on the card front, and then you mount it on cards. So let me just show you these again if you don't remember. So these were the same way, and I just used a texture folder on them. Hopefully you can see that. And then you kind of add a greeting, and then you put it on a card front, and it's very, very, very simple card making. I love it. So I did do a set. I just want to show you. We could stop right here and we could just cut them apart and make some very simple cards out of them. And I love it, right? This is just a great technique for making a set of 4 cards. So all I did was stamp a greeting right on there. The only other layer is that little bit of ribbon. Okay, super simple and lovely. I love that. But one of the things I was thinking about with this technique, like, wouldn't it be fun to do something that's kind of like mixed media in a way, in that you add some more layers and textures. Plus, this stamp set is bundled with a gorgeous set of dies. And they've got these great detailed leaves that go with them that are just beautiful. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to add in some die cuts before we cut this apart? So that's what we're going to do. So to make this easier, because one of the things, because you're going to cut this apart, is you really want these to be secured to your paper. And so I used adhesive sheets on my cardstock, and I'll show you what that looks like, to make sure that these dies were going to, you know, stay put once once they, I added them to the cardstock. So this is what the adhesive sheets look like. They're 6 by 12. And when you use them, you pull off one side. So one side is solid, one side has 3 strips on it. So you pull off, or you can cut first, and you want to just mount it to whatever it is you're going to cut out. So I would just pull off the adhesive and mount it right onto my cardstock like that. So that would allow the whole back side of this cardstock to be sticky, which is really cool. So that's what I've done to these. So I've got Pool Party and Pumpkin Pie, and I just added adhesive sheets to the back. You can see I've already cut out a bunch of leaves here. And so now whatever I cut out is going to be sticky, which is really helpful. So when you do this in the machine, I already pre-did it, but I want to make sure you, if you get to try this, it's really fun. You want to put your die on top with the sticky on the bottom. So you just have to think through, like, where do I want the adhesive to be? I want it to be on the back of the leaf, and so I need to put my leaf down this way, okay? So I've already done that, and I've just cut one of each of these leaves in 2 different colors just to give us some fun, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of figure out where I want these to go. And my goal with this is just to get, just like with stamping, I just want there to be some of the colors and the shapes on every card. Okay, so some of the quadrants are going to get a top of the leaf and some are going to get the bottom. And then let's do these here like that, and then we'll put these in the middle. All right, so we're going to overlap the lines with our dies as well. That, and then these little guys can go there. So let me just check and see if we've got a lot of blue there. Let's switch this one and let's switch this one. Okay, so now we're going to stick them down. Hello, Donna. Welcome. Okay, so I'm just sticking this down right over that score line, peeling off that adhesive backing. Lisa, is it your birthday today? Did I read that? Happy birthday. How exciting. On a Friday too. That's extra special. I hope you're going to do something fun tonight. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just laying these down. So mixed media, I mean, this is a very simple mixed media concept here, but mixed media just means that you are, you know, mixing literally just different kinds of art forms. And so we're putting ink with some die cuts, and then we're going to add one more thing after this. Okay, we'll put this one here. Okay, I hope you're going out for dinner, Lisa. Are you going somewhere fun? I hope you don't have to go to a soccer game tonight, but maybe that's fun. Maybe that's fun too. Okay, see what we're doing here? These are going to just stick down nice and solid on this background here. Let me get rid of my little paper mess. Okay, all right, so now we've got this very nicely secured onto the paper. So we've got an added element to our collage, and I thought it would be really fun to play with some more mixed media, and so we're going to put on the shimmery embossing paste just for fun. We're going to just stencil a little bit of that onto our card as well, just to make it more interesting. So this is shimmery white embossing paste, and I've just got one of the palette knives. You have a set of 3 different knives that you can use. And so we're gonna just use a very little bit of this. So I'm gonna scoop out just a tiny little puddle. And it's called shimmery because it has iridescent glitter in it, which is pretty fun. And I want it to match kind of the tone of this card. So I'm going to add one little drop of Pool Party ink. This is the classic ink refill that you use to refill your ink pad. And then we'll mix that up. And it makes this beautiful blue color. Now you can pick this up with your knife and you could just kind of brush this onto the leaves. That would be really pretty too, but I thought to add an extra kind of pattern to it, I would use one of our decorative masks. And so I pulled the dotted one. This comes from a set of 4. They're basically stencils, but we call them decorative masks. And this is kind of the original set here of these 4. So you've got lots of patterns to choose from. This is like one of those very inexpensive things you can add to your craft stash that you can do a lot of different things with. Then this year in this brand new catalog that just came out in May, we've got 4 more different little masks. So you've got lots of choices of what you can use. So I'm going to do the dots, and I picked that because of all these little splatters. I thought that'd be kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just place this around in just a couple little spots, and I'm going to add the embossing paste, and I'm just going to make sure that it goes in the holes and kind of overlaps some of the score lines like that. Now if it doesn't quite fill up some of the holes, it's no big deal. All right, so then you just lift that off and you can see, oh my goodness, so sorry, just dropped my box of supplies. So you can see that it just leaves those cute little dots there. All right, so let's turn our paper and let's do it again. And we'll do it over here so it'll overlap over here. So I'm just gonna pick a spot and just kind of, I don't really care where it's going. If it's going over the leaves, that's fine. Going over the stamping, some of it's on the white, just the white background. And then lift that off. And then we'll do, since we've got some left here, we'll do some over here. Super easy, great way to add texture to your cards. And then we'll scoop up what's left and we'll use that over here. All right, this is fun. There's nothing that makes you feel like an artist more than getting out a stencil and something that leaves a little mess. So now that's going to dry for a little bit, but you'd be surprised it doesn't take long to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up because when this paste dries, it is very solid. So I just want to make sure we get that off of our stencil mostly. And I'll run this under water when we're all done. And scrub the rest of that off. All right, this is just the silicone mat that you can use for all kinds of projects, but nothing sticks to it, so it's really handy for glue and things like that. For example, let's say you don't have the adhesive sheets like I just used to put these leaves on. You could take your dies. So I'll just pretend I don't have adhesive on there, and you can use a sponge or some kind of thing with some liquid glue, and you can just sponge the back of that, and then that would also allow it to stick down everywhere you wanted it to be. All right, what do you guys think so far? You kind of wondering how this is gonna turn out? All right, we're gonna let this dry and we're gonna make our greetings. And so I'm gonna take a simple punch. I'm gonna use the Essential Tag Punch and punch out 4 tags. Why didn't I start at the end? I have no idea. Not paying attention. So I'm going to cut out 4 out of the same white color. And then I'm going to take this one image that I haven't used yet. Okay, my box of supplies fell on the floor, so let me grab those. And then some scratch paper here. This is so pretty. I can't wait to cut this up. Oh my goodness. Focus up. Okay, so I'm going to take the cinnamon cider. I'm just going to make a background because I love this wood grain, but I don't want it to be super dark. So I'm going to stamp it off once first and put it on the tag with the second stamp. So this will just be a little background behind the greeting. Like that. And then I'm going to take these hellos. They are both from this Biggest Wish stamp set. So I'm going to use the scripty one and the regular one. The block letters, just to give it a little bit of a different feel. And we'll stamp hello. And I'm just going to go in 2 directions because I'm not sure which way I want it to go on the card. So I'll give myself some choices here. Like that. Now this doesn't take too long to dry. In fact, it's already pretty dry, but since I'm going to cut it up, I'm just giving it a little extra time to dry while we put these together. And to finish these, we're going to add some rhinestones, but I'm going to pull in that pool party color to just add a little pop of pool party, since our blue is probably like the color that's really popping out the most. So we're going to color these rhinestones, just give them a little tint of pool party. I'm using the dark Stampin' Blend. And then we'll put those on our tags. Like that. All right, so those are ready to go. Let's just give them a dimensional on the back so that they will pop up on our card front. So when you make multiple cards, it's a great time to, you know, if you've got a lot of birthdays coming up, or you've got a certain, you know, let's say you need a bunch of thank yous for an occasion, it's a great time to use a pattern that makes multiple cards at one time. You can give them all the same kind of greeting, and then it's just fun. This technique is fun because it's also very, I guess I would just say it's very artsy, because you're using the different mediums, and it just kind of makes it extra fun. So this is, you know, obviously not necessary to step this up, but at the same time, it's a really fun like art experience for you as the crafter. Lots of different, you know, textures and feels, and that's good therapy for you too, right? So it's a good reason to pull out this pattern again and give it another try. So I'm going to cut these into fourths now, and I'm going to flip it over. Ooh, look, that one's very special. I'm going to flip it over just so that my blade is coming in through the back. And then I'll cut that. I'm just cutting right on those score lines I did to divide up those quadrants. And then we'll do this one again at 5 1/4. Okay, so now we've got all 4 of those ready to be put onto cards. So I'm going to take one of each color that we used, and we'll just plop those on. So really you just have to think about where you might want the greeting to go. So maybe we should do that first. Let's go ahead and do that first. So this one, you can mount this on your card anyway if you want that collaging to be on the top of the card, or the side of the card. It really doesn't matter. You just have to think about how you're going to put your greetings on. So I'll mount this one this way. And then let's see, this one will look good to go like that. And let's see. I think I want this one to go this way. I'm just going to put that tag right up against the edge of the card. Like that. Okay, so we're ready to mount these onto the card fronts. Now, I don't know. Thank you, Margie. I don't know how long that just took me. Probably maybe 20 minutes. I don't know. But we've got 4 great little cards to send. Really, they can go for any occasion because of the hello. So let's also think about the fact that when you make a set of cards, it's great to give them as a gift. Okay, so that was kind of my thinking when I came up with the gift card or the holder to hold the cards. Okay, so let me show you how to put together this little card holder that holds like 4 to 5 cards, so it's perfect for this project. We're going to start along the short side, so that is the 8.5 side, and we're going to score it at 1 inch and 1.5 inches, and then 7.5 inches and 8 inches. So these score lines just created the top and the bottom of the box. So this is going to be the bottom. This is going to be the top and the little flap. Now we're going to score along the long side at 2 3/4, 3 1/4, so that's just a 1/2 inch more, and then 7 3/4 and 8 1/4. These are going to be the sides of the box that will actually create the back. These are actually the same. So when you do 2 3/4 and 3 1/4, you can actually just turn this around and do 2 3/4 and 3 1/4. Again, it gets you to the same spot. So those are the measurements. So just so you can kind of see, here's where we're going with this. Got the top, oops, sorry, I've got it upside down. There we go. We've got the top and the bottom and then the 2 sides, okay? Of course, this pattern will be on my blog later on today so that you can download it and you can recreate it very easily. So what I'm going to do now is just use the bone folder to make all of these folds very crisp. That. And I'm folding them all in the same direction. So they're all folding in like that, okay? Then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut out all the corners. So on this corner, we're going to just cut on the outer edges. So these little 1/2 inch marks right here are making the side, so that's like the depth of the card holder. Same with this. So these 4 corners we don't need. So we can just take those right out. And then we'll do the same thing on the top. We're going to go ahead and cut all the way to the flap. You could use your paper cutter. If you don't like to use scissors, you can just line up the blade on your paper cutter to cut these flaps off. Like that. Okay. So this is how this is going to go together. This is the bottom. And then these are going to get folded in and adhered, and then the cards will fit in the top, and then this will be the flap that secures that together. But we want to decorate it because we want it to match our project. So we're going to do some stamping on here, and we're going to just follow the same kind of pattern that we did making those cards. But this time it doesn't really matter where we stamp because we're just making a basic collage. But I'm going to do it similarly. So we'll take our colors and we're just putting their leaves and everything in all kinds of different directions. Like that. Going off the edge. Okay, now let's use the pumpkin. Okay, and then we'll move on to the Bermuda Bay leaf color. Oops. So I'm just turning again the leaf image each time that I stamp. Okay, let's do another one that way. Okay, and then to finish it, we'll add some of these little swirling leaves around. Like that. Perfect. The last thing we added last time was our little sprinkle dots. So we can just add those again, and it just gives it a nice little background. Like that. Okay, so it's time to assemble this now. So when it's time to put this together, we're going to want to put our adhesive on the part that we stamped on. So we're going to put a piece of tear tape on this very bottom flap here. Okay, that's going to make the bottom of the box, remember. And then we need one more piece on either of these flaps because that's going to close the box. So I'll put one on this side. You just really need to put it on one of these on the top, and that's all you need. So you could also use liquid adhesive for this. That would work equally as well, or some other double-sided adhesive. All right, so we're going to start with the bottom here. I'm going to pull that off, and I'm just going to hold the bottom flap up so that I can bring up the side, and I'm just making sure this corner right here is all together and that the bottom of the box is going to line up like that. So you've got a nice little fold right there. And then I'm going to take this one off. Maybe. Okay, so now we're going to bring this one up. We're going to make sure again that the corner down here is lined up, and then I'm lining up the bottom edge of the box, and then we'll press this together here. Very simple. So you can make this whole project with just 2 sheets of cardstock. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so here's the top of our box, and we're going to I'm just going to bend that over for a second because I'm going to round these corners just to make the flap look a little bit more fancy. Do that on both of these, like that. And then to make it easier to get the cards in and out, I'm just going to make a little half circle here, and we're just going to kind of pop the box open and use a circle punch. This happens to be a 2-inch circle punch, but you can use literally any size you want. I'm going to center it and then just make that little place for the finger to pull out the cards. All right, so let's gather our cards back. Look at these beauties. Isn't that fun? Do you guys like collaging? I sure do. Let's grab some envelopes. I've got 4 envelopes with these cards, and we'll stuff those inside. Like that. It's not cooperating. There we go. And then you can just fold this flap in to close it. So it's kind of nice. You don't have to wrap ribbon around it or anything. It just closes really easily like that. But we can't just not decorate the front, right? So I just cut a little piece of white, little kind of framelit, like a label, and we'll put a couple leaves on there and stamp a little message. And I thought this was a cute image to do to a friend who makes me smile. So we'll put that kind of right in the middle. And then we'll take 2 more of our little leaves and we'll just decorate with the leaves. So I'm going to take the adhesive sheet off of the back, like that. And we'll put 1 little leaf over here. These dies are so much fun. And then we'll make this one go up over on this side, like that. And so let's attach that to our little card holder. You could pop this up if you wanted, but I'm just going to keep it really easy. Make sure we've got the right side up and stick it right in the middle. And I'm just adhering it directly to the box. And then we're going to make it pretty with a little bit of ribbon. So I've got this brand new Pool Party striped ribbon. This is in the holiday catalog. It goes with a suite that I'll show you in just a second. It's the one that has the cute little dog and cat images and the stockings. So cute. I'm just going to make a little bow to attach at the top of our label. That'll give it a nice finish. Like that. There you go. So there is our project today, made with almost 2 sheets of card, 2 sheets of cardstock plus 2 sheets for your card bases, and then just some white scraps, and you've got a nice little gift to give somebody. Who wouldn't want to get that? I love it. I love it. All right. Thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate you coming along on this little journey today, playing with paper and playing with a new color family for fall, and doing the technique that's called Stamping Down the Middle 4-in-1. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that you do something to be creative this this weekend, or whenever you get your next opportunity to be creative. Pull out your projects and get started, because it's good for your brain. All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.